Greetings, Guardians. My name is Byfear. So what is going to happen with the spider in the future? Well, I think that a dramatic change is afoot for our not-so-friendly loan shark and material dealer of the Tangled Shore, and that change comes from the hands of the Queen of the Awoken and newly returned true ruler of the reef, Mara Sov. Spider may have been running the show on the Tangled Shore in her absence, but now that she's returned, there's an air of change that doesn't quite suit the self-proclaimed Shore's only law. In particular, though, Mara isn't going to take kindly to Spider for a few key reasons, and chief amongst these is his treatment of her now risen light-bearing brother, once Aldrin Sov, now the Crow. The Spider's history with Crow is already pretty well documented, and it's fairly recent considering that it happened only 3 or 4 seasons ago in the season of The Hunt. But in case you weren't aware of it, Crow found the Spider on the Tangled Shore and was taken in by him. At first, there was a little upfront warmth and hospitality shown, but it didn't take long for the Spider to withdraw his meager kindnesses as soon as Crow began to run against the grain, so to speak. Punishments began to get doled out, but the loyalty of the Crow was still mostly unbroken. There was a point at which all of this started to change, though, and that point can be found in the lore book called A Tangled Web, in the entry Revenant's Switch. It contained details of the moment at which Spider took drastic action to ensure the Crow's loyalties were guaranteed. The lore entry reads as follows. The ether pipes were howling. Spider sat hunched to one side of his throne, head in hand when Crow returned from the field. Baron? Crow addressed his ostensible benefactor. The Spider looked up and wordlessly beckoned the Lightbearer over. Upon reaching the throne, Crow took a knee. What was it we talked about before you left? Spider's rhetorical question sat like a weight of stones on Crow's shoulders. Crow didn't look up, and when he started to answer, Spider cut him off. Guardians can't be trusted, was Spider's reminder. They can be useful, they can be powerful, but never trusted. Baron, I only thought to— No, Spider bellowed. You didn't. If you thought about anything, you wouldn't have exposed— Spider caught himself, words turning into a snarled grumble as he laid back in his throne. You screwed up. Crow, head bowed and eyes fixed on the floor, said nothing. He knew the Spider's anger, knew his displeasure, and knew his wrath. He held no desire to face it again. But maybe there's some— The Spider hesitated and chose his words carefully. Wisdom in your defiance. The Guardians are too good a resource to cast aside, especially on matters beyond our mutual— expertise. It was only then that Crow looked up, questioningly. For a moment, he felt humbled pride. Perhaps he believed that act of defiance had broken through to Spider, revealed Crow as more than a convenient light-bearer. The Spider held out one hand. I have an idea to protect you. His offer sounded sincere, even if Spider meant his investment and not Crow as a person. Send Glint over. Crow grew tense, looked away, and then thought better of testing another act of defiance so soon. With a nod, he showed his compliance as Glint manifested at his side. The ghost fixed on Crow with a nervous look, then flew up to Spider. What do you require? Glint asked. Instead of answering, Spider snatched Glint out of the air with one hand. Glint shrieked, and Crow stood swiftly, but just as swiftly saw the arc pikes of Spider's guards thrust at him. Spider made a clicking noise in the back of his throat and reached for a set of tools nearby. Tools used to pry open the shells of dead ghosts. They would work on living ones just as well. What are you doing? Glint demanded, fear in his voice. Crow stood frozen, having faced Spider's punishment before. But this was his ghost. A part of Crow also feared that perhaps he was misreading the situation. He was so certain that Spider would never do anything to permanently hurt him, but when Spider shocked Glint into paralysis with a small needled tool, Crow was disabused of that certainty. "Stop!" Crow cried as Spider wedged a flat tool between Glint's shell plates. "No!" With a snap, Spider popped one of the casings off. Then he looked up to Crow and switched tools. "Don't worry," the Spider said in soothing reassurance that flowed like ice through Crow's veins. "I'm just going to make some modifications," he said, igniting a cutting torch, "to better protect you from the world." This and the many other cruelties that Crow suffered at the hands of Spider are not necessarily recorded, but they are well remembered by Glint. Now, with the return of Mara Sov, it appears that Glint's recollection as a key witness to all of these cruelties is going to help seal Spider's fate. In the astral alignment of this week and several weeks passing, Mara began to ask some rather pointed questions of Glint and Petra. Take a listen to what she asked Glint.
Glint, if you had to describe the way the Spider treated Crow in a single word, what word would that be?
Well, the Spider is a valued member of the shore's ecosystem. I wouldn't want to offend.
The Spider is not here.
Well, I would say horrible. He was horrible. He tortured Crow, demeaned him, treated him like a possession.
That's enough. I have all the confirmation I need.
She of course also asked Petra Venj what the Spider had done to assist the Awoken in their moment of need. Petra responded as follows.
Petra, what assistance has the Spider offered us in this endeavor?
None, my queen.
I am not surprised. When you're through there, we will discuss this.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. The Spider may claim to be the shore's only law, but there is one ruler of the reef. It's time we remind him of that fact.
The Queen of the Reef has weighed the merit of Spider's actions and clearly has found him wanting. With his fate all but sealed, the Spider has turned to another survivor for a possible chance at survival. I almost don't need to tell you who it is if I let you know that he's interested in the job, thanks to the prospect of making a quick buck. All of this can be found in the Seasonal Ghost Shell and its lore tab. It reads as follows. The sound of noisy chewing echoes down a long metal corridor in Spider's lair, interspersed by the beat of footsteps. "You ever try any of this?" Drifter asks, tugging on a length of chewy, battered meat clenched between his teeth. Spider ambles along beside him, pausing to give him a look. "No," Spider answers, his respirator hiding the way his upper lip curls in disgust. "What is that, anyway?" "Your boy said it was chicken," Drifter notes, nose wrinkled. "I'm thinking he ain't never seen a chicken before." Spider's sigh is muffled. "The reason I asked you here," he says loudly, forcibly redirecting the conversation, "is because I wanted an honest, unfiltered opinion on the situation in the city right now." "It tastes like petroleum and bubblegum," Drifter mumbles, pulling the wad of meat out of his teeth. "Drifter?" Drifter raises one brow as he looks back at Spider and claps a hand on the big Elixir's shoulder. "Come on, I know what you're looking for," he says with a laughing confidence. "You want old Drifter's seal of approval on moving your operation." Spider is silent, but resumes walking at Drifter's brisk pace. "The Kell of Kells runs a tight catch," Drifter says as he flicks the chewed up meat onto the floor. "That whole mess with the future war cult aside, things are looking up for his people." Drifter glances at Spider, then jabs his side with 2 fingers. Emphasis on his. "A fine time for humanity to start differentiating between us," Spider sneers. "But they let you stay there, so they can't be too discerning." "Let" is a bit strong, but I get your point, Drifter says. The hallway ends at a large pair of closed doors. Unguarded, Drifter notices. Now that Mara Sov has returned, I think my days here in the reef might be numbered. Spider explains as he flips open a rusted panel, then keys in an access code. The doors jerk to life and slowly grind open. She may have some hard feelings over my little bird, he added over his shoulder with a laugh. And let's be honest, she seems like the type to hold a grudge. A bright light spills past the open doors, and Drifter is eclipsed by Spider's shadow. So, no, Spider says as he swivels to face the Drifter. I don't want your seal of approval. Spider steps to the side, allowing the Drifter to look more fully at what is hidden away in the hangar. A ship. I want to know if you can smuggle me out of the reef. The Spider and the Drifter have crossed paths before, but the power dynamic between the two has never been quite so poorly balanced. The Drifter probably knows that the Spider is willing to pay a great deal in order to ensure his continued survival, and perhaps the survival of his enterprise, should the possibility arise. But knowing the Drifter, he's going to exploit that fact to his maximum advantage. There may be no honor amongst thieves, but where there's glimmer or gold, at least a profit can be made. Anyway, that's all from me for now, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like, and be sure to hit subscribe and the bell next to subscribe to turn on those email notifications. On top of that, let me know in the comments section down below what you think is going to happen to the Spider. He's a pretty integral part of Destiny, so I don't imagine him being sunset as a vendor. And I'd say that when it comes down to it, him being relocated seems more likely. But I also think that it's fair to say that unless he suddenly gains favor with Mara Sov once again, he's going to be in a great deal of trouble. How do you see this ending for the Shore's only law, which has now very quickly become the Shore's second law? But all that aside, do know that as per usual, your viewership is quite enough for me. And that in the meantime, my name has been My Name is Bife. Horodasya Arastra. I'll see you Starside.